that's it. We just want to win for our team.
My goodness!
Yeah, we're just as good as the men. We're better.
It's a huge point for the Bay Area.
Good chance that's the #1 highlight of the week.
Welcome back to Major League Table Tennis, the very first weekend of 2024, and we've got some professional table tennis action for you coming live from Davie, Florida. I can't wait for the action. We're halfway through the season, and the second half begins here today. First, let's put our hands together to welcome our officials, June Amon and Bill Engelbrecht. And the first team to come in for battle today, they're at the top of the food chain with 182 points, leading the East Division in the overall. Make some noise for the Carolina Gold Rush! And their opponents, number 4 in the league right now with 130 points. Make some noise for Chicago Wind. And now that all of the Warriors are here, it is time for the action. So, let's shake some hands and slap some skins and let the games begin.
Well, the inaugural Major League Table Tennis season has already been a magical 4 months, and now a new year begins. The season continues from the Broward Table Tennis Club in Hollywood, Florida. The Chicago Wind and the Carolina Gold Rush to launch this first weekend of 2024 in MLTT. The East Division dominated the West in the interdivisional weekend in December. Carolina is the best of the best right now. We'll see if that can continue into the new year. Chicago showed some signs of life. Look at their singles records. They're 10 games above 500 in singles. Can they start winning some golden games in 2024? We'll get the answers over the course of the weekend and the coming months. Hi again, everybody. It's so great to be back with you for Major League Table Tennis. I'm Evan Lepler. That's Matt Hetherington. And Matt, we were together a month ago in Rock Hill where the East really dominated the West, the best of the best in the East. Now the focus turns to being the top 2 in the East to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and actually the Chicago Wind, while they may be at the bottom of the table, made a really impressive showing at the cross division. So they've made some ground back. They have a little bit of momentum. Interesting for this match, they haven't put Daniele Pinto in their lineup. So it'll be I'm curious to see what their strategy is for order over the weekend.
Curious to get your thoughts on that as the weekend progresses. Guy that's always in the lineup for the Carolina Gold Rush is Enzo Angles, the #1 draft pick, the #1 player in the league through the first half of the season. First serve from Florida. MLTT action coming up. A wonderful, cozy atmosphere here in the Broward Table Tennis Club for the first MLTT weekend of 2024. And a look at today's lineup, starting with a couple of first-round picks, Matt. Damian Provost and Enzo Angles will get the day started in a pretty exciting fashion.
Yeah, and of course, last time these two played against each other, it was actually Damian Provost who came out on top. If I don't remember correctly, that was on his birthday last year that he won that match.
It was indeed.
And of course, on the other hand, you have Enzo, who's really established himself as one of, if not the leading player in the league so far in the first half of the season.
Here's a fact that might surprise you. The fact that Enzo's #1 in the league, not surprising. The #1 pick, high expectations. He has exceeded those expectations. Great forehand winner from Provost. 2-1 Chicago. Angles has played singles in every match. That's 13 singles matches he's played. 11 of those 13 matches he has won. The 2 that he has lost were both 2-1 losses to a player from Chicago. Now, Carolina has not lost a team match to Chicago. The Gold Rush are 3-0 against the win. However, Angles lost 2-1 to Provost in October, and then in November he lost 2-1 to Sasha Hanin.
Right.
So Enzo certainly begins this weekend with some clear motivation to get it done against the Chicago wind. And I'm curious if you think that that's meaningful at all. Is that something you think he might be have in the back of his mind?
I don't know about necessarily the fact that he's lost to players from the same team, but the fact that he did lose to Damian last time they played will definitely be a factor in this match for him.
It was October in Myrtle Beach when Provost got the better of Angles, and indeed it was on Damian's 39th birthday, October 14th. Enzo Angles in his late 20s now, the Frenchman. And he's been dazzling pretty much every time he's taken the table throughout the season, but his best performance of the year was arguably what he did against the West in Rock Hill.
I think the style matchup is really something that plays into this a lot. I mean, they're both left-handed players. Enzo likes to cover a lot of ground with his forehand, but Damian stays up close and he's so good at playing angles, and chasing that wide forehand angle against Enzo has been a pretty good strategy for him. I'll be happy with missing that shot. Those are the kind of shots you want to leave behind in 2023.
That was one of the questions coming into this weekend. Who has kept their training up through the holidays?
I mean, I would say the European players have the advantage. Most of the time they take more of a season break in July, June, July, so they keep playing over Christmas and only have a small break, whereas I'm sure the US players probably took longer breaks.
What a rally. Provost out-duels Angles to retake the lead. And it is worth mentioning, Matt, that some of America's top players were busy winning a U.S. Open championship in the course of the past month. So they weren't all just eating and drinking and being merry.
Lots of MLTT players on the podium at the US Open.
Jinbao Ma won the men's singles title.
Amy won the women's.
Kole and Koyo Kanemitsu taking the men's doubles title.
And then Amy Wong and Rachel Sung won the women's, so almost a clean sweep for the major league crowd.
And then you looked at the U19, U17, U15 results. There were a bunch of professionals in this league, still teenagers, but winning championships there too. Wow, Provost has Angles a little frustrated here in this opening game.
You can see when Damien Provost backs off the table, he kind of has a limit. It's more at the mid-distance. He never backs off too far.
We are right on top of the action here in Hollywood, Florida. And you can feel it. The speed of the game, the intensity of every shot, the focus required to have a chance. No sudden movements, Matt. You're going to be on camera a lot today.
I'm the last person that the people at home want to see on camera. Of course, it's great to be here at the Broward Table Tennis Club. This is...
You've been here before, right?
I've been here before a couple of times. It's been a little while, but they have tournaments here all the time. They recently had the Pan American Masters Championships here, so lots of big events happening down here in Florida.
Angles catching the edge, and now it's a 9-7 lead. Game to 11, remember, not win by 2. And Provost defeated Angles in October. His 2 wins were both 11-9. Did not catch the edge, so Provost back within 1. Provost sitting at 22-17 in singles games on the season, in the top half of the league. And he ties it up 9-all. Provost, the 14th ranked player, according to the official MLTT power rankings, which mixes in singles, doubles, golden game result, and the player's USATT rating. Enzo Angles, unsurprisingly, heads and shoulders above the rest at number 1. But as we said earlier, he has not been number 1 against Chicago. Big point here. Provost has taken 3 in a row, and he's got the first game point of the day.
Hasn't been afraid to play that forehand angle.
Wow, 11-9 again as Damien Provost takes game 1 over Enzo Angles.
Microphone's working like a charm, and so is the game of Damien Provost.
Chicago's the underdog in every way, but Provost has the win off to a fantastic start.
Right now, Chicago wins. The number 14 in the East Division is up 1-0 against the leading team by a landslide, Carolina Gold Rush. If you weren't sitting in the right place to hear my little briefing before this, a reminder, 21 points will be played today, team points. Every game that is won is worth 1 team point, which is why Chicago Wind is leading 1-0. Coming into the Golden Game after 15 points have been awarded and split between the 2 teams. We will play a Golden Game, which is a rumble where everybody who played today will come back for action, playing no more than 4 points. After every 4 points, they'll rotate, and the Golden Game is worth 6. It is the last minute of an NBA game. You cannot afford to miss the Golden Game. It'll be exciting the whole time, but the Golden Game, you'll be on your feet. Game number 2 with Enzo Angles for Carolina Gold Rush and Damien Provost for Chicago Wind. Make some noise!
Damien Provost takes game 1 over Enzo Angles. He scored the final 4 points, Matt Hetherington. How'd he do it?
Gold Rush to serve.
I think just not being afraid to play the angle to Enzo's forehand is a really big factor. Wide forehand for left-handers is a difficult place to play, especially when you're looking for a player like Enzo looks for forehand all the time. Damien's more content to control with his backhand as well.
Now 5 straight points for Provost dating back to last game. Obviously, Enzo's been the top player in the league. How would you evaluate Damien Provost's season so far? 22 and 17 in singles. He's done really well in the Golden Games. He's won 19 more points than he's lost. He's got one of the better Golden Game winning percentages in the league, as does Andres.
I think, honestly, if you look back in his career, he's such an experienced player, and he's a very reliable player as well. I think there are very few situations where he comes into a match and really doesn't play well. He's kind of, I would say, like his average level is pretty high compared to the rest of the field.
Angles just won that point, snapping a string of 7 in a row for Provost. What do you expect to see Enzo do to try to reverse momentum here?
I think from the forehand side, he's got to be a little bit more variable with how he's playing, and knowing that Damien's going to stay up close to the table. Just trying to put enough pressure to back him off. If you can back Davie off the table, that totally changes the play. But also, Davie has really good kind of short counter strokes where he adds a little bit to the ball. So the further back he goes, the less effective that is as well.
Another weekend of MLTT Fantasy Table Tennis is underway. In case you were wondering, Matt.
In case I was wondering.
The if we're creating a scoreboard for just you and me and Sean O'Neill, average fantasy points per weekend event, Sean is in 3rd place with 672.5.
Hold on, if you run the math on this.
You are in 2nd place at 685.5.
Unbelievable.
And MLTT play-by-play, 695.7 on a per weekend basis. This really is how any reasonable person should value, ranking the season overall. So I'm just curious, did you reflect on the fact that I was beating you a lot over the course of the past month?
No, not really at all. Until you brought it up yesterday again.
Did I bring it? I don't remember that. 7 straight points here for Angles. Sean O'Neill is the biggest talker in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this weekend is going to be good for me. I'm feeling confident. I will openly admit that I stumbled a little bit on the cross. That was a tough one for me. But that's all part of the fun.
How about this? Provost had scored 7 straight points from down 9-7 in the previous game. He won the game 11-9, then took a 3-0 lead, and since then Enzo has run off 9 in a row. And Angles heating up. 1 point away from setting up a tantalizing rubber game here to start this weekend. Snaps the 10-0 run, catching the edge.
I mean, Enzo has definitely got the firepower to get him through this match.
5-10.
It's really about putting the pressure on early in the point. Provost tends to change between playing passive or a little bit more assertive.
How about that? Blocking it back. Angles forced to lunge for it. Off balance.
Again, you see that wide forehand angles open. Play like Enzo, who steps around on the forehand a lot. You have to give up a lot at the table.
Been a game of runs. Enzo wants a new ball. How about Provost rallying back?
Again, Provost just damaging that wide forehand angle.
He's had some unbelievable angles in this match with that forehand. Angles pumps his fist, wraps up the 11-7 win, and these two Frenchmen will retake the table, tied 1 game apiece. The rubber game coming up. Angles back on track for the Carolina Gold Rush.
But a long string of points there from what? 10-3? That's a long comeback. And they saved the timeout. Carolina Gold Rush has 3 timeouts left, just as Chicago Wind does. Now, if you haven't been watching the league, can you guys all hear me okay? It's a little muffled, I know. I'll walk over here. So, 3 timeouts. You can only use 2 before the Golden Game. Golden Game, both teams have 1 timeout left. The Golden Game is played to 21 points. There is no win by 2 in any game. In any game you play 10-10, golden point, I'll say, you know what it is, say it with me, and we'll all go, golden points. If it's the Golden Game, the ultimate golden point would be 20-20. That's crazy exciting. That means 1 point in a game is worth 6 team points. That could be the difference between not only winning or losing, but the difference between advancing into the playoffs or not. If you want to see the replays, check that TV screen.
Alrighty, game 3 between Provost and Angles about to begin. Matt, what do you view as the key for each player to set the tone for the weekend for their respective team?
I mean, Provost just outstanding on catching the ball out wide to Enzo's forehand. Enzo, on the other hand, has really stepped up the firepower. I think Enzo's got to get that pressure in early. He's got to put his weight behind the ball. He's got to play with confidence. That's the difference between playing against a Damian Provost block or a counterattack. The difficulty for a player like Enzo, who's quite a high energy player, is not pushing too far.
What do you mean by that?
Kind of.
Provost has been a backboard with whatever Angles has thrown at him.
I mean, that was a great example. It's kind of finding that balance between keeping up the aggression but not overplaying your hand. Damian Provost, like you said, sometimes just a wall out there.
Both these guys have really long arms, and their wingspan enables them to create those angles and cover all corners of the table.
Lucky break there from Enzo Angles on the net. I think one of the great things about these both of these players is they have so much confidence playing their style of playing. No matter how much pressure you put on them, Enzo's still going to go for his big shots. He's still going to move for forehands. And Damian's still going to stay cool and calm and collected, play those soft counters and wide angles.
I mean, we've seen both these players have ups and downs over the course of the season. Certainly more ups than downs for both, particularly Angles. 4-3 lead here for Carolina's Angles.
Perfect placement on that step around forehand from Enzo.
Really, it was just a remarkable performance for the entire Carolina team at the interdivisional weekend. Out of a possible 84 available points through the 4 matches, they won 64 of them.
One of their matches was particularly outstanding.
The Portland match
against Portland, 20 points to 1.
And Paddlers grateful that Jiwei Shah got 1.
I've said it on multiple occasions, he's a man who, even when they're facing everything against them, still claims 1 game at least. So neck and neck here in the first match between Chicago and the Carolinas. There's that nice early bounce, early timing ball. It's decades of playing experience and a good sense for the ball and the point.
Another big fist pump from Angles. Every point critical here. What are you noticing about how Enzo's attacking Provost with his serve?
I think for the most part he can keep everything short. I mean, Damien doesn't really attack the serve very much. And when he does, it's not particularly hard. So there are a lot of opportunities for Enzo to attack straight away if he gets a softer flip or a long push. And I think Damien's okay with that. He seems pretty confident to let Enzo attack first. So there's a lot of strategy for Enzo about how he attacks the first ball, whether it's slow and spinny, whether he goes for a faster third ball attack. And then, of course, he has to think about where he's playing as well.
What a quirky point that was. Provost playing it pretty cautiously back when he had a chance to smash some of those.
Expect the unexpected.
One game all, 7-all here in this opening singles match between Chicago and Carolina.
You can see in the background of that shot there, Roger Kang and Andre Liu, part owners of the Princeton Revolution team.
What a rally, and Angles gets the better of Provost there.
This is how much it takes, even for a player like Enzo, to hit through Damien Provost. This is a tough style matchup for both of these players against each other.
I did notice you kind of sitting in that Princeton owner section at times in Rock Hill.
I must say I've gotten along pretty well with both of those guys. I think it's just the way that they're kind of immersed in this whole league experience. They're at every match and
easy to get along with.
Yeah, and they kind of meld with all the teams as well. They're not just, you know, sticking to their own team. They're pretty social guys.
Angles has broken it open with 3 clutch points to set up.
Really one of the first occasions we've seen Enzo successfully back Damien way off the table.
When that happens, there's not much you can do. Game point. Oh, goodness. Not how you want to see it end, but Angles able to rally back and take 2 out of 3 from Provost. He wins games 2 and 3, 11-7 both. And it's the Carolina Gold Rush in front 2-1. Second singles coming up. We'll chat with Enzo Angles on the other side of the break.
At the hands of Damien Provost. He's so smart. He's so clever. His touch play, how many points did we see where he was casually blocking? And Enzo was just running, grunting, ripping shots. It was exhausting to watch. To think about the physical condition that these players need to be in to bring points like that. Now I will tell you, both of those players came from France to be. Damien, been in the United States for some time, but he lives in France now. Enzo, full-time France. Comes into the United States from time to time when he can. Coming up next, we have 2 players that are spectacular to watch. Their footwork is so fast, they can rally forever. I'm excited for a lot of rallies, but It's going to come down to serve and receive. They're both going to be trying to finish the point quickly once they can get a ball. No warm-up? Okay. So warm-up, they're going to have a ball. Ed, is that...
Very exciting way to start the weekend here in Florida. Enzo Angles. Can you hear me?
Cannot hear.
Now we got you. Can you hear us?
Okay, let's go.
Enzo, Happy New Year. Welcome back. How does it feel to be back?
It feels good. It feels good. I was very afraid because I didn't practice for 3 weeks. I had a problem on my shoulder. I don't have my shoes, you know. My bag didn't arrive yesterday, so I just went to buy some shoes very quickly yesterday. So I'm very happy with my 11. I didn't play with any fear. I just played with what I have, and I'm very happy. Actually, I'm very, very happy.
And how, knowing all of that you've just told us, how did you feel about this particular matchup against Damien, who has really good control? I mean, obviously you knew you had to play a lot of forehands, you had to move your feet a lot.
Yeah, actually, I'm ready physically because I do a lot of physical, so it's fine with that. And we know that against him, even when I'm in good shape, last time I lost, so it's always tough game because, yeah, he has a lot of control, and he's not the type of game that I would like.
Enzo, congrats. Good to see you. We'll see you in a bit. Enzo Angles will be playing doubles with Hong Lin, the best doubles duo in the league. That's coming up after this second singles match featuring Carolina's Bastien Dupont and Chicago's Dan Liu. Dupont currently number 32 in the MLTT rankings. Liu, who began the season as a shake hand player and then switched to the penhold style. He's ranked 41. This looks like a pretty even match on paper. It's the first time that Dupont will play Liu in MLTT in a full singles match. What are your thoughts as we get started?
I think both players are in a point of the season where they're looking to really prove themselves. Dan Liu in particular, he stepped up in the cross division. Played some great matches. Bastien Dupont had probably one of the more surprising matches that I saw during the cross against Andre Lapchik. I think he won the second game 11-0 and then actually ended up losing the match. Well, he won the first game 11-0 and then lost the next two. So that was a pretty surprising result for me. Not just in terms of the players' levels, but the flow of the match as well. So this could be interesting, and I mean, I think the Chicago Wind have a lot to prove. They have a lot of, I would say they have a bit of a tailwind behind them after the cross division. So
I'm glad you brought up that 11-0 result in game one. It was truly unbelievable to see. There was the first 11-0 game in MLTT history, and for the guy that lost to come back and win the match, astonishing. Andre Lapchik rallying back against Dupont. Good start for Dupont with the forehand. He takes a Adi Serene-esque lap after hitting the winner. Now Dan Liu had his best weekend of his MLTT career in Rock Hill as well. It was the first time he finished with a winning record in the singles. He went 5-4 overall in singles, in 3 singles matches.
Yeah.
Entering the weekend, he had been 5-16. So to go 5-4 in the weekend, it was a strong step forward for Dan.
Yeah, and I think he managed to, well, the team managed to do well with how his matchups played out. You know, he had a couple of matches with younger and less experienced US-based players, which for him was a big opportunity, and I think he knew that as well. So yeah, definitely good to see somebody who was kind of looking for that confidence in their game to find a bit of a footing in the cross. So we'll see how he does here in Florida in the Broward Table Tennis Center this weekend.
stylistically with these two guys, is there anything that you think one will try to exploit from the other?
I think I feel like they're pretty evenly matched if they back off to the mid distance. So I don't know if playing topspin rallies is going to be necessarily a great answer for either of them. So I think whoever plays closer to the table and gets in control is going to do better. You can see as soon as Danlieu backs off the table, it's a big opportunity for Dupont. And I mean, the way that Dupont plays is with a lot of spin control. It's not necessarily hitting the ball really direct and hard. So he always has that extra bit of safety to bring the ball back down with the topspin.
Wow. That was fast.
One of the benefits of the penhold grip is it's quite open, so you have a little bit more openness of the racket angle from the wrist. So big third ball attacks with the forehand. If the opportunity presents itself,
Or
of course.
first ball attack, as we saw right there. A second ball, technically, returning the serve.
Yes. Yeah, so I think a lot of the shorter points that are aggressive will be won by Dan, just because of playing style. I think Dupont, if they do get into topspin rallies, I think he has a much more reliable game. When you watch him play, you feel like he could stay in a counter loop rally for 30 balls. It looks like that serve actually, I don't know exactly what happened there, but I think the ball made contact with Dupont's face somehow. And like I was saying, short points definitely more probable to go in favor of Danlieu. He does have more power on the forehand in particular.
I like Liu's body language right now.
Yeah, we definitely started to see more of this in that cross division. Once he started winning, I just feel like he was in such a difficult spot for a couple of the weeks.
That's great table tennis. Liu wins the battle of the forehands to get within 2 points of taking game one.
Kazaku's on the bench loving it.
Come on, then.
This time Dupont gets in off the back of the serve.
Dupont just 23 years old, he'll be 24 next month.
Who sees the opportunity. Slightly misjudged.
Come on, come on, come on.
9-9 here in game one. Second
was-
singles between Liu and Dupont.
That was a big point for Dan to not make contact on that ball. Could have set himself up with a couple of game points from a relatively easy play there.
He does get to 10 first. And he's got one more serve to try and close it out. Wow. The backhand block down the line wins it for Dan Liu. He takes game one, 11-9.
Now I want to tell you, one of my favorite things about my job is not just that I get to watch table tennis, it's that I get to meet you guys. I get to walk around, sit and talk with you. I get to learn about family. I get to learn about your history with table tennis. If you have any questions, don't be shy. Matt, have you thought of any new questions since I talked to you? Not yet, but I'm thinking. Okay, keep thinking. Anyone have any questions? Give me a look if you're curious. Okay. Other than that, I want to remind you, we have a merch shop. If you see people like our ball kids, Samantha, if you see people wearing MLT t-shirts and you're jealous, don't be jelly. Go get one, because we've got a whole merch shop on the other side. Between the matches, pick up your shirts. But now, it is time for game number 2. Let me hear you make some noise.
We are tied 2-2 on the team tally through the initial 4 points. Chicago in the second singles match takes the opening point, 11-9, courtesy of Dan Liu. And Bastien Dupont looking to turn the table here in game 2. Oh my! These two are bringing the best out of each other, and it is exciting to watch.
As I was watching that, I was just thinking, man, Dupont's hitting that ball so shallow, and Dan just keeps moving more and more forward. Big smile on the face there.
He knows he stole one.
Got away with murder on that one.
What was the difference in game 1 from your eyes?
I think it was down to a big mix of power and placement, and Dan Liu was the player that was more aggressive. And I think Dupont had maybe better spin control, but when they got into the open rallies, he tended to play cross-court a lot into Dan's forehand. Didn't necessarily work out for him probably the way that he would want to. So he's got to really focus on placement. I mean, he has the consistency and he has the spin. I think more depth would help. Certainly seen a lot of occasions where he's played quite shallow on the table. And if you want to put pressure on your opponent, you've really got to drive the ball placement deeper on the table. Right onto the racket of Dupont.
4-2 lead. Reminder of the format for MLTT. There are 4 singles matches, all 3 games to 11. The 1 doubles match, also 3 games to 11, and every match culminates with a golden game. The singles and doubles games are each worth 1 point in the team standings, and then the golden game counts for 6 points. Most matches, not all, but most, come down to the golden game. And over the first 5 matches, the 4 singles and 1 doubles matches, teams are playing for points and also playing for the advantage in the golden game. It could be as large as a 5-point head start in pursuit of the 21-point golden game destination. And more often than not, in fact, about 73% of the time, the team that is leading going into the golden game wins it.
Dupont's got to keep the pressure on the serve return. Again, I think in the longer rallies he has the advantage, so he's got to shut down that more powerful forehand from Dan. That's a good way to do it.
The interesting thing to mention, talked about how Enzo had struggled against Chicago. Struggled is, you know, a small term. He had a winning record overall against them, but had lost 2 of the 3 matches he had played before today. Carolina, in their 3 team matches against Chicago, have won 14-7, 14-7, and 16-5. So even with Enzo struggling sometimes, I mean, the Carolina doubles team has been dominant.
3-9.
Carolina's 8-1 doubles against Chicago. Lin and Angles taking care of business against a mix of players that have teamed with Emily Tan. We're going to see Alex Kazaku today with Tan. Kazaku went 3-0 in the 1 doubles match he played in Rock Hill.
That was a pretty good showing from those 2.
4-9.
And it was interesting to see, you know, some teams had to change things up just because of necessity, because they were missing people. I think we saw Princeton and Chicago kind of looking for different combinations in terms of who's going to play doubles, what's the best lineup going into the second half of the season, because they know they have significant ground to overcome if they want to be a championship weekend. MLTT.com for news, scores, video, merch, and much more. 10-5, DuPont leads here in game 2 after Liu took game 1, 11-9. It's looking like we will get another rubber game to decide this singles match. Indeed, we will. 11-5 for Bastien DuPont. First time today that a game decided by more than 5 points. Better than 3 out of every 4 games have been decided by 5 or less throughout the season. So DuPont puts the beat down on Liu to set up a rubber game. That's coming up next.
11-5. Fast footwork. Harry, I heard you're a table tennis enthusiast, and one of your coach is playing here today. Who's your coach?
Romain.
Roman Lorenz, okay. So right now, what have you observed between these 2 players? Anything stand out to you?
They're well matched.
That's so funny. Your mom just said the exact same thing. That's really cool. That's okay. It's okay to say I don't know in life. They are well matched. Right now, nothing between them. Whoever wins this next game wins the match. A little fun fact, MLTT matches count for your USATT rating. Interesting. Another interesting thing is MLTT has their own ratings. You can find them on MLTT.com. Check out the power ratings and the power rankings. MLTT.
Chicago's Dan Liu and Carolina's Bastien DuPont, 1 game apiece as they retake the table for game 3.
Gold rush to serve. Love ball.
It's going to be a battle to see who gets out of the starting blocks here. DuPont much tighter on serve receive in the second game. Better depth on the first opening.
Nice job by Liu moving DuPont around. A couple nice saves to keep the point alive, but eventually Liu able to finish it off and take the early 1-0 lead. Wow.
Big commitment from Bastien DuPont.
There are returns and then there are returns. Unleashing the forehand there. Loud Cholet from Dan Liu.
DuPont keeps it short. I've started to see him opening up with better depth, but also more around the middle of the table. Play against pen holders, sometimes you have a bit of advantage looking for the elbow. Not as much against the modern pen holder as a traditional one, of course.
Do you remember the first time you ever played a match against a pen holder, and just how is that different for you as a shake hand player?
I mean, I would have been really young. I think probably at the time my level wasn't really good enough where it made too much difference to me, but back then there were a lot of traditional pen holders who played with the same side, backhand and forehand, and they just had really good blocking control. So definitely remember getting blocked down by pen holders, not just in the beginning but throughout my career.
Kazaku and Tan, Angles and Lin. Very intriguing doubles match coming up. Dan Liu has gotten out of the gates quickly here in game 3. And that long rally in the opening point, Liu was able to finish it off, and 5 of the first 7 points for the Chicago player. Dan Liu, originally from China, now lives out in the Bay Area, Northern California. Characterizes himself as a, quote, passion player.
DuPont gets him first with the heavy topspin ball. It's really a battle of spin versus power here in this matchup between these two players.
Would you rather have spin or power?
I'd rather have like a more balance in the middle ground. I think DuPont turns spin into acceleration, which is never a bad thing to have. But you need the power sometimes to be able to finish points. A lot of it comes down to how you set the ball up. It's much, much harder to set up the power shots. Passion and confidence certainly help, and of course a good serve to set the ball up too.
Look, in any competition, competitors want to compete, they want to win, but to see the reactions from these players, you can just see what it means. Liu and DuPont are 2 guys battling for everything, for their lives in this league, for their opportunity to keep competing and representing their teams, and obviously financial considerations as well along with it. That's a missed swing there.
There's certainly a bit of pressure on the Carolinas team this weekend, because I believe for the first time their owners are here checking out the action.
It's gone well without him. If things don't go well, maybe more about them than the team. Oh, what a serve, but it's a let. DuPont did not realize that it was called a let, and he doesn't understand why. Matt, do you?
I didn't actually see whether the ball hit the net or not.
DuPont seemed to not hear the let call initially. Took him a few moments to accept it. I don't know if we can take a look at that. There's another let.
Yeah, this one was definitely a let. New prescription may be in order.
How much DuPont can do when he gets that deep from the table.
Yeah, some of the net serves can be pretty tough to see. That's why you have an umpire on each side at the same level as the net. and they'll watch it really closely as it goes over. But this seems to have shook the punt a little bit. Certainly lost some momentum after that, at least the initial let call.
Game points for Liu. And that'll finish it off. Apologetic for the net ball that helps set up the smash to close it out. After dropping game 2, 11-5, Dan Liu turns around and takes care of business, 11-4 in game number 3. So we got a tie game, Chicago and Carolina, as we head toward the doubles, 3 points apiece. First MLTT weekend of 2024 here in Hollywood, Florida.
The players did not see the ledge, but the ledge was called, meaning the ball touched the net on the way over. This is what we call a matter-of-fact decision. If an umpire sees it, an umpire says it. So, they had to replay. We could talk about it for a while. If you're curious about the interviews that are happening here, Dan Liu is being interviewed on the live stream. Right now we're having a live stream on YouTube as usual, on Major League Table Tennis's YouTube channel, on Bally's, on Fubo, and on Amazon, all at once. That's pretty crazy cool. If you haven't subscribed already, I want to tell you, you should subscribe to Major League Table Tennis on YouTube so that you never miss a thing. You can go back and catch the interview, hear everything that's being said. We've got wonderful commentators. Evan Epler is our lead. Matt Hetherington is our color. They conduct wonderful commentary and interviews. So make sure you catch all that. Also, MLTT.com. Follow everything, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Well, Dan Liu gets 2 points for the Chicago win, taking 2 out of 3 from Bastien Dupont. Dan, congratulations. After dropping game 2, 11-5, how did you turn it around and take care of business in game 3?
Yeah, because when we start, I just focus on the return, and then I doing good in the first game, and then the second game he tried to change some side spin serve. It's hard for me to like drop short. I know his forehand is very strong, and then after that, I try to like push long, try to counter loop the ball. It looks like it works. Yeah.
And obviously throughout the season you've had a lot of ups and downs in the first half, but in the cross division you seem to find a little bit more confidence. Did that help you at least coming into this weekend as well, just to get some more wins under the belt? I mean, your singles record at the cross division was good. Has that helped you find a little bit more momentum and at least some confidence that maybe playing Penhold is going well for you now?
Yeah, Penhold is going well for now, but I think if Shehan also doing good because my mental is changed. Normally I start from the normal match, I just starting like slowly, getting in the game. But this is like the game is different. And to start from first point, you have to fight like 100%. You know, right now I just realized, and then I have to fight to start from the first point, and I'm doing better.
Thanks so much for your perspective, Dan. We'll let
Thank
you go.
you.
See you in the Golden Game.
Thank you.
Doubles underway. Kazaku and Tan taking the opening point from Angles and Lin. It's hard to overstate just how dominant this doubles team for Carolina, Angles and Lin, has been playing together. They are 29-7 in the 36 games that they've played. That's 12 matches. More often than not, it's a 3-0 sweep for this dynamic duo.
I would say, though, I was very impressed with how Kazuko and Tan played together in the cross division. I think there's a certain kind of fieriness between both of them that gels really well together. So I could see them performing well in this match.
It was truly a breakout weekend for Emily Tan, a weekend in which she got to compete against her sister, Angie, and playing with Kazaku once. They went 3-0 with a sweep. That was against Kasahara and Emily Wong of the Texas Smash. Kazuko played doubled once earlier in the season. He's now 5-1 as a doubles player. Tan went 9-3 in doubles in Rock Hill.
Hong misses the high ball. I think Kazaku just has such big shots that he's able to put so much pressure on the first attack. It helps give Emily Tan a better chance at finishing off the next ball. But it's kind of similar on the Carolina's side as well. This could be quite the interesting match.
Emily was actually paired with Damian Provost for the win that earned her bragging rights over her sister. Provost and Emily Tan defeated Jinbao Ma and Angie Tan 3-zip. Closest of those 3 games was 11-7. Emily still just 17 years old, playing with the 34-year-old Romanian Kazaku. Kazaku really worked himself into a lather pregame. Changed his shirt because he was drenched. I mean, we are in Florida, even in January. It is hot and humid. But yeah, he needed a new shirt. What'd you call him pregame? Muscles? Muscles Kazaku?
Muscles, yeah. I mean, I would say he's one of the bigger hitters in the league off both wings. If you go backhand and forehand, I mean, he swings at the ball. I don't know about that serve receive. Popped the ball up. He had a nice return. Unfortunately, it wasn't his ball to play. Got to alternate shots in table tennis doubles. One point between these two teams in game one. And one thing about a player like Kazaku who plays bigger swings is much harder to control heavy spin. So Enzo playing that slower, heavy topspin worked really well for him there. It's all going to come down to tactics, I think. And while I would say Kazaku and Tan are probably the more aggressive, especially when they get fired up, the more aggressive pair, I think in terms of tact and strategy, Enzo and Hong have just proved time and time again that they can adapt to any team at the other end of the table.
Game to Gold Rush.
11-6 for Angles and Lin. It started tight, and then Carolina duo breaks it open. Carolina continues to dominate in doubles. We'll see if Kazaku and Tan can turn it around.
Since I haven't had the chance yet, representing Chicago is the female player on the team, Emily Tan, a high schooler, and there has not been an MLTT weekend without a Tan member. Between her older sister Angie Tan and Emily, every single weekend of Major League Table Tennis, East or West, has involved a Tan sister. Standing next to her from Romania is Alexandru Kazaku. He's incredibly fast, powerful, and he's got a lot of showmanship when he plays. You've seen the behind the back shot attempted. You've already seen 2 or 3 snakes in one game. Who does that? Who does that at the professional level? On the other side of the table, now moving to this side, you've seen Enzo Angles before. He was impressive in the first match of the day. A very strong player for Carolina Gold Rush, one of few pen holders in the league. She represents China, but has been playing for US now internally for some time. Put your hands together for Hong Lin.
Evan Lepler with Matt Hetherington, this first MLTT weekend of 2024. Enzo Angles and Hong Lin picked up where they left off. Doubles table. They went 10-2 in doubles. The Rock Hill weekend dominating the West Division, but they've dominated the West and the East. They've been clearly the top doubles team throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've, again, like I said at the end of the last game, they've shown that they can adapt to any pairing at the other end of the table. I mean, I think they've even played against a men's doubles pairing somewhere during the season. Still came out on top. I really feel like Hong has been one of the quiet achievers of Major League Table Tennis. She has been unbelievably reliable at bringing home points for the Carolina Gold Rush in both the doubles and the Golden Game. One of the leading scorers on the power rankings.
Yep.
Definitely the highest ranked female, I think, by quite a mile.
She's number 4. Matilda Ekholm, who we'll see later with the Florida Crocs, is number 11. So the only female player in the top 10. The only female player in the top 5. And Angles and Lin have both won more than 62% of their Golden Game points. Not a lot of players around the league are better than that.
3-all.
In fact, the only one who's better, that's played a significant number of points, is Jinbao Ma, the recently crowned U.S. Open champion. The Bay Area Blasters. Interestingly, Ma's not fared that well in singles and doubles, but has been clutch in the Golden Game for the Blasters. And it's a big reason why the Blasters are in first place in the West Division.
Hong actually has a really incredible background as a table tennis player in China as well. Part of the province team for 13 years with Shandong Luneng, which is one of the, if not the top club in China. And from 2003 to 2005, she was also part of the national team training in China. This all before coming to the United States.
Yep. Now lives in North Carolina. Was talking about this before. The MLTT draft was held in August, and there are a bunch of rules. You have to have a female on your team. You have to have a certain number of U.S. residents. Hong Lin checked off all the boxes, aside from being a fantastically talented and experienced player who's still very much in her prime at 33 years old. Carolina making life tough for Alex Kazaku and Emily Tan right now. Look at the MLTT standings overall, and Carolina's singles players have been good all year long, but it's not like they've dominated overall in singles. But it's the doubles that has created such significant separation. Not to mention their Golden Game prowess, but part of that is keyed by the doubles success.
Yeah.
Often giving them a few points head start.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at how far ahead the Carolinas are on the standings, and then you calculate their accumulated doubles points, it's pretty clear to see how big of an impact that's had for them.
It was 11-6 in game number 1. It was 11-5 in game number 2. So far, Carolina's doubles team out-dealing Chicago's 22-11. See if the win can rally back in game 3.
In how things work out at the end of the team matchup. But a bigger factor, anyone? Any guesses? Roger, Andre, what's important? Golden Game, that's right. Can you guys wave real quickly? Roger and Andre are team owners for Princeton Revolution. They have wonderful energy. If you have a chance to get to know them, you should. I don't know if you follow, what is it, Major Ponghead? Where can they follow this? MajorPonghead.com. This is the best blog I've ever seen anything table tennis related across all platforms. I don't think WTT has a blog that covers anything like this blog. Check it out. All right, time for game number 3. Chicago Wind looking for a point.
The always colorful Adam Bobrow emceeing the event here once again. Major League Table Tennis in Broward County, Florida. Game 3 underway. And this train of Enzo Angles and Hong Lin showing no signs of slowing down. Choo-choo.
Hong's missed a couple of slightly easier shots. They had Kazaku and Tan really locked up in the backhand corner. Everything was going pretty well for them.
Any tactical or mental adjustment if you're Kazaku or Tan?
That's the second time that that's happened. Kazaku pops up the serve return, gets put away, and then Kazaku slaps the next ball on. Happened in the first game as well. So Tan and Kazaku, they've got to get on the offensive, but I think they have to be very wary of what Angles and Lin are doing, which is keeping in control. Hong plays the steady ball, looks for good placement. Enzo plays a little bit more snap and tries to exploit the gaps that Hong is opening up for him.
Emily was ready to unload on that forehand, but it was a let serve, so Kazaku will do it again. Power player like Kazaku, is there a way to use that power on the serve?
No, not really. The serve is it's much more hands-based. It comes mostly down to thumb and finger and wrist. So it's more about generating friction and acceleration. Whereas when you're playing big, powerful shots, it really comes from the ground and up through the legs and the hips and the core.
Switch sides. Carolina's up 5-3. There have been 7 MLTT weekends. In singles and doubles, when a team wins the first 2 games, they have won game 3 just about 64% of the time. You always make a face at me when I give you one of these stats.
No, it's that one. That's your favorite stat. I'm going to put that on a plaque for you at the end of the season.
Do you not find that interesting?
It's interesting. I don't think there's as much correlation. I don't think there's necessarily a causation for it. It's interesting, but I don't know how to unbox it as a stat.
How about this for you? At the interdivisional weekend, a player went up 2-0. 30 times. Or I should. No, it was 42 times in however many
42
total.
times up 2-0.
30 of those 42 players up 2-0 were East players.
I think that tracks. I genuinely feel like the East teams were better prepared in the cross division. I think there were more substitutions on the West. Players like Lily Zhang, Amy Wong, Rachel Sung, Cole, maybe
Olajide Omotayo.
Yeah, Olajide and Fabiola as well.
Yep.
So West Coast did have a lot of substitutions. I mean, yeah, there was clearly a big momentum in favor of the East across singles, doubles, overall team results.
Carolina went 4-0, got 64 out of the 84 possible points. Chicago went 3-1, got 54 of the 84 possible points.
I'm gonna come to, what is it? Oh, I see it. Table tennis
Princeton
stuff.
only
Okay.
got 50 points. They were the
So
fourth
timeouts. People
in
often
the
want to
East.
know, why would you call it
They had more
timeout in
points than
table
the Bay Area
tennis?
Blasters, who
Now,
finished atop
here's
the
what I'll
West,
say.
going
Table tennis is a
3-1
very fast
overall.
sport. It's a very mental sport, and it's very physical. There's a lot to talk about.
Carolina Gold
in
Rush
table
using a
tennis.
timeout.
Sometimes
Yeah.
the coach will be watching and, you know what?
1
He's
point in the
always
lead.
throwing
Both
to your
teams
short
have
back.
2 timeouts each during the 4 singles and doubles. then
Or she
they'll
steps
have
around.
1 timeout
So go
during the
other
Golden
way.
Game.
Don't be afraid to play soft. Play
In a
less
normal table
rotation.
tennis tournament or
Shorten
league,
your
you would have
stroke.
1
There's an
timeout
endless
per
list of
match.
things to improve.
This format's a
Back
little
from the
different,
timeout.
shorter
It's
games.
a 1-point game now.
So,
It's the first timeout we've had today.
good time for it too. Chicago win need to make an impact here, but and Hong again, just brilliant placement, working to keep the Wind players pinned in the backhand corner. You can see them stepping in front of each other on the backhand side.
Angles and Lin 1 point away from another 3-0 sweep in doubles. Their excellence reigns again to start 2024. Angles and Lin 11-6, 11-5, 11-7.
From 3-all is now up 6-3. This is the second.
Carolina now ahead 6-3 on the team tally. Tim Wong, Jeremy Hazeen, third singles match coming up.
In the East Division. Now I want to tell you, East versus West. We had a big showdown in Rock Hill, South Carolina, December 1st through the 3rd. You can find it on the YouTube channel for MLTT. I did an Adam cast. Matt Hetherington joined in on it. We had a lot of fun commentating that. Hey, Matt. Hey, see the guy with the hat? That's Matt Hetherington. He's played the World Championships for New Zealand, and he's got wonderful social media as well. Before I did social media, he interviewed me. He's a professional. Anyway, it doesn't matter the points. If you have 100, let's say you have 300 points at the end of the season, or 400 points, and a West Coast Division team is the second team with only 100, well, let's say 220 points. In the semifinals, it's single elimination. Top 2 teams will advance at the end of the season, and it'll be a crossover playoff. All it takes is one strong day. And right now, it's not
First 3-0 sweep of this Hollywood, Florida weekend goes to Enzo Angles and Hong Lin. Hong getting some potassium. Enzo joins us now. Enzo, the shoes seem to be working well for you. You and Hong picking up right where you left off?
I cannot wait to change.
Really?
I feel very bad inside this. I'm not used to that. But no, anyway, I'm happy. Happy we make simple things. We play better and better together. And yeah.
How are you and Hong a different doubles duo now than you were in September?
I think actually in September I was playing much stronger with my forehand, and I really had to finish the points very quick. Right now, I don't need to do that much anymore. Many times I put the ball on the table, and she is also able to manage to win the point and to help me much more than at the beginning. So it's very good because I gave her a lot of confidence, and we speak a lot. So that's good.
And now that you've played basically every team in the league, Do you guys feel confident that you can show up to the table and deliver most of the points? I mean, you guys have got to feel like you're the best
In
doubles
double?
team in the
In
league
double?
in doubles.
Yeah, we are very confident. But it's many times against us as well, because if you lead 2-0, it's never easy to close the game 3-0. So even if we are up 2-0, we have to keep fighting and keep focused directly and start the game very strong every time.
All right, Enzo, we'll let you hydrate, grab a snack. We'll see you in the Golden Game.
See you.
Thank you.
That actually perfectly speaks to your statistic of the idea that sometimes you can have that mentality that when you're up 2-0, you've won. So it was interesting for Enzo to say it's actually pretty tough to close out the third game.
And that's why I keep going back to that nugget. Whether you roll your eyes or not. All right, Jeremy Hazine and Timothy Wong.
I think this is going to be a great match. I think these two are pretty familiar with each other. They're from different generations of table tennis players, but there may have been I'm assuming there'd be probably a small overlap in the middle.
2-1. That's a tough break for Hazine. Wong will take it. Early 3-1 lead for Wong, who made his MLTT debut in Rock Hill, the interdivisional weekend. Taiwanese player, now lives out in the Rocky Mountains, Denver, Colorado. Hazine, the 23-year-old Canadian from Ontario, competed in the Tokyo Olympics 2021, representing Canada. But Wong off to a fantastic start here, having his way.
Little known fact for you about Jeremy.
Love little known facts.
At 13 years old, he actually became the youngest male player to play in a senior World Table Tennis Championships.
Yes.
You're looking at your paper now. I have that one.
I do.
6-1.
So Tim Wong, two-time Olympian, 2012 London, 2016 Rio.
I was expecting you to blow my mind with a little known fact.
Sorry. It was for the people at home.
Do you remember Hazine at 13? 10 years ago?
That's a good question. 10 years ago, maybe a little after that. I think 2014 I coached the US team at the 2014 Canadian Cadet and Junior Open. So I think that's probably the first time I saw him.
Did you know that when he was just 17, he became the youngest Canadian men's singles national champion ever?
Yes.
I was speaking to the viewer there, not to you. Know it all. Wong leads 8-2.
9-2.
What's it going to take to get a Kiwi player in the ranks of Major League Table Tennis next year, Matt?
Well, there actually was one, Nathan Shu, who's living in the US, and he's at UPenn, and he signed up, but I think he's on a student visa, so there are obviously some, playing a professional league in a country of visa requirements, so, but I think he would have played. He's a pretty good player, and I think the Texas Smash might have tried to call him up out of the draft pool, but then realized that he wouldn't be able to play.
Not a great signee if he can't play.
Yeah. So head-to-head, I've looked at ITTF here, and Tim Wong and Jeremy have played once in an international event, 2015 North American Championships, men's singles quarterfinal. Tim won 4-1.
11-4.
So
9 years ago.
Yeah.
Tim Wong gets the good start here, picking up where he left off. 2015, 11-4. Tim Wong. Chicago needs it. They're back within 2. Trying to make a move as we inch closer to the Golden Game here in Hollywood, Florida.
Every match is interesting. I can't even begin to tell you how fascinating this is for me, but I will because we don't have so much time. Tim Wong, people will talk trash because they're jealous. They'll say, oh man, you started to work, you got a good job now, you're not playing anymore. 3-time national champion. Anyone who says anything to him has never been national champion. He took a break and just recently started getting healthier, working out more, and look at this result against a player who's been challenging for even the Chinese national team to get through. Jeremy Hazin is funky and challenging, so every single will matter. With tactics, they're back. Tim Wong and Jeremy Hazin for game number 2.
Second game, wins to serve, love all. Hold on, let.
Game 2 between Timothy Wong and Jeremy Hazin about to begin.
Serve.
Wong to serve after an 11-4 demolition in game number 1.
I think this star matchup is really good for Tim Wong. Jeremy's a player that is pretty passive, stays up close to the table, and it's really hard to hit through him. We saw, I think in Chicago, back a few months ago, Pinto just struggling to try and hit through Jeremy Hazin. He's out there like a wall, but Tim Wong is a very calculated player. Goes for a lot of heavy rotation on his first opening.
It was a great match, November 11th. Hazin and Daniele Pinto, all 3 games were 11-9. Pinto ended up taking 2 out of 3, but Hazin got the opening game. Let's take 1 point for his team. Not too many people have gotten points off Daniele Pinto these past couple months.
No.
He has been one of the best players in the league. He went 1-5 in September, and then since then, he's 18-3 in singles. The Italian. We'll see him tomorrow.
Yeah, interesting for me to see Chicago win not putting him in for this match against the Gold Rusher at the top of the table. I think they're going to lean on him a little bit against the 2 and 3. You can see Tim Wong is a player who kind of rolls up the first ball. He's got a tackier, spinnier table tennis rubber, which he has on both sides. So he usually spins the first ball up, and then you can just see him start to bring his body weight forward as he follows up.
4, 3.
Jeremy getting in with the attack. He's not an overwhelmingly powerful player, but he has really good table coverage, good placement and control, and great forehand counters early in the bounce.
3, 6.
I feel like throughout the season, Jeremy Hazin has had a pretty strong next point mentality, in that he doesn't let frustration or a mistake from a previous point impact the next one.
Yeah, I think he's one of the players in this league that he can be a little more animated, but he does really well to kind of keep a control on it. And when he feels like he can't, he almost always looks to his bench. So he'll look to his team, he'll look to the team coach, to try and get that reassurance. And then you're right, you know, he just switches back on and gets back out there for the next ball. And you need that mentality in professional table tennis.
Curious to ask him, Matt, aside from drafting well and getting the #1 pick via a lottery and taking Enzo Angles, what is it about how Alex Yang has led the Carolina Gold Rush that has stood out to you to kind of orchestrate the success that they've had?
I think there's a lot of experience in selecting your order, tactics on the bench. I mean, Yang Shigang was during his career an exceptional player himself. You know, he's at a level that would put him probably on par with the best players in his team now. So having that experience from China as a player, having been in professional leagues in Europe himself as well, he's a very well-rounded and knowledgeable coach. And I think that definitely helps him be able to relate to all of the players on his team.
Right? You know that. So take your time, build the point, and whenever you do have it, then you go for it. Hit him into his body.
Eric Owens, the leader of the Chicago Wind, telling Tim Wong to go into the body. Eric Owens, pretty accomplished player as well.
Absolutely.
U.S. national champ in both singles and doubles. Inducted in the USA Table Tennis Hall of Fame as well. There's some good coaches in this league.
There really are, yeah.
In terms of accomplishment, and I really think the coaches have done a great job sort of setting the tone, you know, for what this means, because, you know, it's the first year. You know, it's about the coaches setting the tone. It's about the players following through, the intensity, the feel that every point, every game really matters. A product of the format created by Flint Lane and the entire MLTT staff, but implemented well by the players and coaches.
Tim Wong backed off the table, not a place he wants to be. Jeremy has been a little bit more aggressive. From Tim Wong, just hooking that ball a little bit and then preparing back from the table. That is a big point at this stage of the second game.
Two serves here for Hazin. 9-all. Oh, what a point from Wong, turning defense into offense.
He's out there fighting for every single ball.
9-10.
I love that he's swinging at that backhand from further back instead of continuing the lob.
And the net ball helps Wong take game 2. So he's got a 2-0 lead and the team tally back to within 1. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck, and it can be better to be lucky than good.
I don't know if it was 3-7, but it felt like something like that. Harry, what was the biggest lead that Jeremy had in that game? Yeah. 7-4. Okay, 7-4. Pretty massive comeback. You're 4 points away from the finish line, and then this, Tim Wong really doubled down. Look at that picture on the screen. Racket in your face. Has anyone here ever played table tennis for the Chinese national team? Raise your hand. Okay, Flint Lane, Matthew Hetherington. Oh, you haven't? You've never played table tennis for the Chinese national team? I thought maybe you had. Isn't it pretty cool? Oh, what's your name?
You can call me Shirley John.
I can call you Shirley John. Can they also call you Shirley John? Shirley John played for the Chinese national team and is here to watch Major League Table Tennis. That's pretty awesome, right? All right, game number 3, a fight for one more point up for grabs. Tim looking
So
for
it's
the
a 2-0
shutout.
lead for
Jeremy
Tim Wong
looking to
against
bring it
Jeremy
closer to the team
Hazid.
matchup.
Well, the question on everyone's mind, but particularly on yours, will be, can Tim Wong convert the third game? It was certainly a close second, decided by a bit of a lucky back edge in the end.
Let me ask you this, Matt. Through the first 7 MLTT weekends, what percentage of singles and doubles matches have been 3-0 sweeps, do you think?
Singles and doubles. I'd probably say somewhere in the high 20%.
It's all the way up to a third. About 33% have been 3-0 sweeps.
Timeout. Wins.
And a quick timeout from Eric Owens here after he sees his player fall behind 3-0.
So a timeout called. Eric Owens, one of very few people who can
Now in
say
more than
national
half the
champion.
matches.
Eric
Get him out of
Owens
his
was
rhythm.
national champion. I want to say 2001.
I like the serve, right? Move it around a little bit. No spin. I think the no spin serve's fine on him.
Because
How do you feel about moving over on the return of serve?
this is a big difference. Chicago Wind really needs some points right now. They started this match down 3-6.
Because backhand to backhand down the line, he looks a lot more comfortable than you, right? He's going you, and then he's pinning you here. So stay in that position. If he gives you out of your forehand, you can move. It's fine. But he's anticipating you move, and he's pinning you in your backhand.
So you should come back every day because teams will play new opponents, but you'll also be seeing new cast members. So Daniele Pinto, for example, who plays for Chicago Wind, is sitting out today. They're saving him for Saturday and Sunday. And the reason is teams 2, 3, and 4 in the Eastern Division are all fighting for that second spot. Carolina.
We appreciate Eric Owens wearing the microphone and getting some inside insight to the timeout conversation. What do you think?
Well, I think after the first 3 points, him raising that point himself of Jeremy getting Tim down that backhand line in the backhand to backhand, extremely valid right now. And there's the no-spin serve that Eric Owens suggested. Tim Wong going back and forth with him a little bit during that coaching timeout, saying, should I serve long? He knows Jeremy's sometimes more passive on the backhand. And this time, Hazid does something a little more unexpected. Swings through the ball cross court.
Matt, the other way to frame the big picture is that in more than half of all matches, a player has led 2-0. Better than 50%, a player has won the first 2, but only 33% have they swept.
Well, it's going to change also marginally here, potentially.
Don't worry, I'll be all over the cataloging of the numbers.
The algorithm's already in place.
Kazaku and Lawrence. Excited for that one.
Yeah, me too.
They have not played against each other yet in singles and MLTT.
2-5.
previous team matches. Roman faced Sasha Hanin twice and Damian Provost once.
Hazin holding steady, but Tim Wong finishes the job.
It's a fun rally. That's an example of the next point mentality that I'm talking about with Hazin. Because you see the clear frustration on his face after the last point, but then he moved on. Which is not always easy to do. We've seen players let one mistake compound and affect them 2, 3, 4 points down the road.
Yeah, I mean, DuPont, perfect example at the end of the first matchup here. One umpire call. Things kind of slipped away.
Long turnaround here for Hazin. One thing that has not tracked so far today, and typically throughout the season, about 1 out of every 6 games goes to 10-10. Golden point. We've not had one yet. 3 11-9s, 3 other 11-7s. It's only a matter of time.
8-5.
Long fighting back. Jeremy Hazin's done a pretty good job of retrieving net balls for a couple of points throughout this game. Big swing from Wong.
I know I've asked you this before, but if it was up to you, would you make it win by 2, or do you like the 10-all, no deuce, golden point?
I thoroughly enjoy the golden point, honestly. I think
would you enjoy it as a player? I know you enjoy it as a broadcaster.
No, it's horrible. No, really. I mean, I even play around a little bit with Flint and with Roger Kang sometimes in the mornings before the matches, and even playing golden games.
Still waiting for my invite, by the way.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
I think I'm busy tomorrow morning, unfortunately. Too bad.
Counting stats.
Among other things.
Jeremy Hazin definitely more in control here in the third. Got off to a quick lead. The timeout has only helped him continue to move forward.
Well done by Jeremy Hazin. And it keeps Carolina in front overall. A 7-5 lead as we head into the final singles match. Hazin, after dropping the opening 2 games, bounces back and salvages a point for his team. 11-6 in game 3. Still a good win for Tim Wong. And we got Kazaku and Lorenz taking the table next.
I thought to myself, that will be fascinating to watch. And this one, almost the exact same. 2 players that stay on top of the table can block forever, and 2 players that can run forever and fight, digging deep. And in both cases, the more athletic player won the match 2-1. Enzo Angles and Tim Wong, who will be coming through for an interview about now.
2 minutes, Roma.
Wow, man. Check out the shirt on Tim Wong. It is soaked because Jeremy can keep so many balls in play. Short, long, he moves you in and out. It's always different with Jeremy Hazin. Lady Rano, I think you might have a last name that's different now, but it's cool to see Olympians here, so. Shout outs. Now on the table representing Chicago win from Romania. He's back from doubles action. He's spectacular.
In the third singles match, Tim Wong takes 2 out of 3 over Jeremy Hazine. Tim joins us now. Tim, congratulations. Happy New Year. How did it feel to be back on the table playing Major League Table Tennis, and how do you feel about your performance today?
It's been really exciting. Yeah, after the holidays, you know, kind of took a little bit of a break, but right around when New Year's hit, started training again in Houston, in my hometown, for couple days with Andrew Tao and Daniel Tran, who are both also in Major League Table Tennis. So yeah, I had some good training and glad to be here.
And obviously most players in North America are pretty familiar with Jeremy and the way that he plays. Going into this match, tactically and level-wise, you must have felt reasonably confident to have a chance. And what did it take for you to kind of play against his style?
Yeah, I mean, I played against Jeremy many times in the past, but that was like 10 years ago. So things have changed, and Jeremy's like the Great Wall of Canada. He doesn't miss the ball, so like, you know, you just gotta put as many balls on the table as you can. And yeah, I'm glad to take it 2-1.
Congrats on the win, Tim. We'll see you in the Golden Game.
Thanks.
As I said, picking up where he left off 10 years ago. Different stages of their career and another competitive battle, and this should be really fascinating. Kazaku, currently number 6 in the MLTT power rankings. He had a great weekend in Rock Hill. He went 8-4 in singles, 3-0 in doubles. Arguably his best weekend yet in MLTT, although he was pretty darn good in Daytona Beach as well. And then Roman Lorenz, who's had his ups and downs. He was masterful in Golden Games in Rock Hill. Not as spectacular in singles. He was 5-7 in 4 singles matches. Not anything to be ashamed of, certainly. Do you look at Kazaku as a small favorite, a sizable favorite? Is this a toss-up? What's your mindset entering this match?
I think it's definitely a toss-up. I think we're going to see some big rallies for sure. I would say a lot of it comes down to that balance of power and tactfulness, and you see Roman is a lot softer on the backhand side compared to the forehand, whereas Kazaku's powerful on both wings. So I think those factors mix with each other in a pretty interesting way. And Roman will have to be very tactical in how he approaches this match.
The players take the opening couple of points on their serve. Which of these players' serve is more daunting to have to handle?
I'd say they're pretty evenly matched, I think. I would say overall, having a longer career.
That last ball caught the edge, by the way. Umpires were slightly delayed in signaling, but Lorenz's point, so 3-3 and not 4-2.
Yeah, I would say having a longer career like Kazaku, who is the older of the two players, definitely helps you spend more time developing a stronger serve game. And it also helps you be able to anticipate the points better. I mean, obviously, the older you get, it's really tough to be explosive all the time and move around all the time. So getting the ball back how and where you want it to is really important. So maybe I'd give Kazaku a little bit of edge with the serve, maybe, now that I think about it more.
I appreciate the evolution of your opinion as you shake it out in your mind. That's a heck of a return there from Roman Lorenz.
Some topics.
Roman's been playing since he was 7 years old. Kazaku picked up a paddle when he was 10. So they've both been playing 23, 24 years now. How old were you when you picked up a paddle, Matt?
To actually play like a proper paddle, say 8 years old. So I'm 25 years. I was going to say down the drain, but it's been great.
Just getting warmed up.
I think burnt would be a more accurate assessment. Right now, Romain Lawrence is looking pretty good here.
I was going through the U.S. Open results, and I did not realize that there was, 75 plus, 80 plus, categories, age groups.
Oh yeah.
You can play forever.
Literally, yeah.
I told that to my father-in-law, who's here, who's celebrating his 77th birthday next week, and he laughed. He said, "I don't think it's going to happen for me."
You'd be surprised. I mean, I've seen some amazing things. I've seen players over 100 playing table tennis. I've seen players over 90 with coordination that would just blow your mind. I actually, in the World Veteran Championships in 2018 that was held here in Las Vegas, in the US, there was a player who had short pimple rubber on one side and normal rubber on the other, and he was 93 years old, and he was just twiddling his racket to keep either the short pips or the smooth rubber on one side at all times, and I was like, wow,
that's 93
years old. No. But certainly a great sport for life and for the brain.
Wow! Alex Kazaku unloads on that forehand down the line. Bing, bang, boom.
And Roman gets one in down the line back.
This is kind of what we were hoping for. Two heavy hitters trading punches. By the way, you've got, what, 60 years until you're 93? You've got long way to go before you perfect your twiddling.
Plenty of time to dig a 6-foot hole, Evan. Roman pushed back from the table.
No rush to get that done.
So far, Kazaku's been able to keep a 1-point buffer. And Roman does great work there to regain control of the point.
I think this might be our first golden point of the day coming up here. Lawrence catches the net. Kazaku leads 10-9. We will not get that golden point we've been yearning for. Kazaku takes game 1 by 2. And Chicago back within 1 of the team tally. The lead heading into the Golden Game, hanging in the balance here in Hollywood.
The best thing that can happen for Carolina Gold Rush is a 3-0 lead in the Golden Game. If they win the next 2 games, it will take Coach Roman Lawrence, professional player Roman Lawrence, to win the next 2. If Alex Kazaku wins the next 2, it's going to be a 1-0 lead for Chicago win at the start of the Golden Game. So it's going to be tight, and it will come down to the Golden Game. We will not know the winner of this team contest until the Golden Game comes to a finish, and it could be very tight. we've seen players that have come back and teams that have come back from 0-5 down in the Golden Game. Remember, the Golden Game is 21 points. A 5-point lead, pretty significant. And you never know what the matchups are going to be. In terms of the rules for the lineup, we'll walk you through it, but it's pretty open. Men can play women, vice versa. Women can play women. It's just completely random, except the coaches will be thinking carefully and strategically about who they want to play to
So the plot thickens here in Florida on a warm, humid day in the Sunshine State. Kazaku over Lawrence in game number 1. It was tied 9-9. Kazaku finished strong. What was your biggest takeaway from game 1 and how will it impact game 2?
Well, Kazaku definitely has more firepower on his side. I think Roman did a brilliant job of finding a lot of forehands, but the backhand side is softer for him, and Kazaku is able to find it. And you see even in that example, Roman can't play forehand on everything. Sometimes he doesn't quite get enough pressure with the backhand. Kazaku is able to open up and play more powerful shots.
You start to think about the Golden Game, Matt, excuse me. Carolina's 11-2 in Golden Games. They're 3-0 in Golden Games against Chicago. The Wind, 5-8 in Golden Games. They've only come from behind to win a Golden Game once. And that was against Seattle on the final day of the interdivisional weekend. And they were down 3-0 and came from behind to beat the Spinners. So the lead heading into the Golden Game matters a great deal. Oh, goodness.
Huge backhand swing from Kazaku. This time, Roman kept a good amount of pressure with his forehand.
That was a ridiculous angle. Kazaku is really a great story. He was a 4th round pick of the Chicago Wind, but enters this weekend number 6 overall in the league in power rankings. Winning record in singles, doubles, and Golden Game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's kind of at an age where he wouldn't be an obvious first pick, mainly because big rally here.
Wow.
Early in the bounce.
Roman Lawrence not fooling around.
Yeah, I think Kazaku hasn't really been as much in the international spotlight. It's like a Romanian team member. So, you know, even coming into this league, I wasn't hugely familiar with him. But I'm sure going into season 2, he has a good chance of getting a better draft position for sure. I mean, he's played phenomenally in singles, doubles, Golden Games, and he's a dangerous player. He's a very dangerous player. That amount of power, that amount of confidence to swing off both sides.
Have you heard from players around the world about, they just announced the applications for the 2024 MLTT draft?
Yes.
And
yeah,
you know, I imagine, you know, if there was any skepticism, oh, this new American League, what is it? What is it going to be? How serious? What's the level? I got to imagine after half a season, the level of intrigue is only accelerated greatly.
Yeah, I've heard from a few players that are interested. I've heard from other people about players that are interested, and I think the level's only going to go up. Table tennis players very seldomly get the chance to compete at a professional level here in the US, and they travel a crazy amount during the year. And a lot of them are looking for chances to come here. And, you know, usually you don't have that much time off when you're playing, you know, sometimes multiple professional leagues, international circuit, you know, national team events, stuff like that. So a lot of the time they need to find an excuse, a table tennis event-related excuse to visit a country they want to go to. So, yeah, there are a lot of players out there that really want to be here in the US, and having this professional league here has certainly perked up some ears and turned some heads.
Roman Lorenz is 2 points away from guaranteeing that Carolina will start the Golden Game with at least a 1-point lead. Wow.
Forehand right into the body from Roman Lorenz.
That had some zip to it. So excellent response here from Roman. And how about Kazaku going for the big serve? Lorenz was ready for it. Kazaku says, let's move on to game 3. One game all in this fourth singles showdown. Lorenz, the Frenchman, gets his first point of 2024. Carolina leads 8-6. The Golden Game just around the corner.
By the decider, I mean the Golden Game. Coming up next is the decider. And if Roman Lorenz wins, it'll be a 3-0 lead in the Golden Game for Carolina Gold Rush. Now, you might be hearing a lot of action. There are 2 reasons for that. We've got a second team matchup tonight, starting at 7 p.m. local time. So, stick around, of course, till the very end of the Golden Game. It is a must. After that, get your pictures with the athletes, get your autographs, whatever you want. Get some merch, get some food wherever you can, and get ready for the 7 o'clock showdown. But the other thing that you need to know is the Golden Game, players are practicing right now to get ready for the Golden Game, because if you played the first match of the night, and you've been sitting for 2 hours, and you come in and you only have 4 points to play, you got to be ready. Every single point counts.
You can call this a popcorn match between Alex Kazaku and Roman Lorenz. 1 game apiece, 1 game to go before we get to the Golden. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Kazaku serving first in game 3.
Roman in the second game was able to apply a lot of pressure with his forehand. Got Kazaku back from the table, buying himself a little more time to get onto his forehand side. And you will notice as he plays, he has a little bit of a different or modified shakehand grip. He actually has a second finger further up the racket as well, so he's able to apply more pressure with the forehand. Has to give up a little bit of power on the backhand side, so he's always looking for forehand opportunities. Definitely found more of them in the second, and we'll be looking for them in the third.
Oh, Kazaku ripping it down the line, 2 apiece. Tremendous conviction in that forehand. Oh, Lorenz keeps it alive and wins the point. Incredible hustle.
I think Kazaku's guilt got the better of him there. He got a bit of a lucky ball. Almost returned it apologetically. He knows he should have hit it. You can always apologize after the match, but get the point.
It's an early candidate for a top 10. Timeout taken by Chicago. 4 of the last 5 points have gone to Roman Lorenz. Obviously, this point,
I'm very fortunate that the VIP
from a team standpoint, not only decides who wins this 4th singles match, but also changes the dynamic of the Golden Game.
Even during the point. This one, he lost the focus a little bit.
I got the force, that's why I just...
Yeah.
I don't want to give away any spoilers to my favorite film, but I just want to say that watching him hustle...
Yeah, high energy, maximum concentration, really hard spin, attack his middle. Okay? But you have the game. We have the tactics to beat him, for sure.
He touched it, and he was out of position, and he finished it with the next shot.
Okay, let's finish strong. Finish strong. Okay?
Keep going, man. Let's go.
It's always an interesting dynamic on the bench during this 4th singles match, because several players have gone to the practice tables to, re-warm up for the Golden Game. So, right now it's just Daniele Pinto and Eric Owens in the Chicago bench, and Alex Yang and Kai Zhang, who's inactive today for Carolina, on the Gold Rush bench. Lorenz keeps it rolling. The other different dynamic is here in Hollywood, Florida, at the Broward Table Tennis Club. The benches are not behind the players, but on the sidelines. As we take a look at the grand finale to every match, the Golden Game, all 5 players will compete one at a time, substituting every 4 points. Maximum pre-Golden Game lead is a 5-0 lead. It'll be either a 1-0 lead or a 3-0 lead, depending on the result here between Kazaku and Lorenz. Lorenz gaining steam. 6 of the last 7 points have gone his way.
Eric Owens was certainly right on the bench about the balance of confidence in this match.
There's a pretty good forehand.
Yeah, and Kazaku needs to have that confidence and high energy to go for those shots. Getting in with the forehand again. Pushes Kazaku back off that forehand corner.
A 7-3 lead for Roman. Trying to get to the finish line and make it a 9-6 overall score heading into the Golden Game.
Kazaku just backed up too much. We're seeing him playing a lot more off balance, out of position. Roman well in control here.
Nice angle from Kazaku. He's back within 4. We have seen 5-point deficits overcome in a single game multiple times through the first 4 months of Major League Table Tennis. So Kazaku's not out of this yet.
Anything can happen. I've seen in person table tennis match go from 0-10 to 12-10 before.
Were you the 12 or the 10?
It was a spectator, thankfully. I think if I was in that scenario, I would probably be more likely to be the 10 than the 12.
Big point there for Lorenz, with Kazaku creeping closer. Reestablishes the 3-point gap. Be interesting to see if we get some variation in the Golden Game order that the coaches will settle upon after this match, or whether it'll primarily stay status quo. 10-6 lead now for Lorenz. You would think at some point Eric Owens needs to try something different.
When it comes to the Golden Game?
The Golden Game order, particularly against Carolina. 21-15, 21-16, 21-9 have been the scores previously.
I think the tough thing for them is, and for a lot of teams against Carolina, is how they run up against Hong and Enzo.
They are not alone in that problem. Kazaku frustrated. Lorenz comes from behind to take 2 out of 3. Closing out game 3, 11-7. So it'll be a 9-6 lead for the Gold Rush. Heading into the Golden Game, they'll take the 3-0 head start. The moment you've all been waiting for, the Golden Game, that's coming up on the other side of this break.
The commissioner, Clint Lane, who some of you know because of Gene Poole, some of you know because of legal reasons, and some of you are just table tennis fans. And I'll explain to you this fascinating strategy that the coaches will use. Another reason why you should go back and watch the broadcast.
So as we head into the Golden Game, we take a look back on the individual matches leading to it. Enzo Angles starting off 2024, how he's left off the first half of this season with a win. An exciting match between Dan Liu and Bastien Dupont, with Dan overpowering Dupont to get the win. The doubles, as we've seen on so many occasions before, going in favor of the Carolina Gold Rush's favorite pair of Hong Lin and Enzo Angles. And of course, this matchup between Timothy Wong and Jeremy Hazin, it was Tim coming out on top there, and then the match we just saw, Romain Laurence found his forehand form and stayed in control throughout the second and third. Look back at that great retrieve from him to finish things out here. But ultimately, going into the Golden Game, it's the Carolina Gold Rush who will start with a 3-0 lead. So like you said, Evan, it's going to be interesting to see if the coaches
Okay, we've got Carolina Gold Rush is up 9-6. Chicago Wind. Carolina will be starting with a 3-point advantage. Since you're trailing, Coach, you'll be making the first pick to play 1 point.
Timothy Wong.
Timothy Wong is your first choice. Who's your number 1, Coach?
Jeremy Hazin.
Jeremy Hazin is your number 1. And your number 2?
Enzo.
Enzo Angles is your number 2. Damien Provost is your number 2, and your number 3?
Alex.
Alex Kazaku, your number 3. Your 3?
Romain.
Romain Lorenz is your 3, and your 4?
Dupont.
Bastien Dupont is your 4, and your 4?
Emily Wong.
Emily Tan?
Emily Tan.
Emily Tan is your 4, and your 5 is Dan Liu. Dan Liu, and that makes your 5. What do we leave? Bastien Dupont.
No, Hong Lin.
Hong Lin, excuse me. Okay, good luck, coaches.
There we have it, a good handshake.
So it felt status quo through the first 3 slots, and then a little bit of a curveball with Eric Owens putting Emily Tan in the 4th spot. Got a cross-gender matchup with Tan against Dupont, and then Liu and Hong Lin. Do you like that tweak from Chicago?
Yeah, I think I do. I mean, there's a lot of pressure in the Golden Game. Bastien Dupont is a slower spinner in a lot of occasions, so if Emily can put the pressure on, she could do okay in that matchup.
Wong and Hazin for 1 point. And it goes to Chicago. That's exactly what Eric Owens wanted, putting Timothy Wong in that spot.
To finish it off, serves now with Enzo
Enzo took 2 out of 3 from Damien earlier today. Provost won the first game. Angles took games 2 and 3. In terms of Golden Game productivity in Rock Hill, Enzo Angles played 30 points. He won 21 of them, 70%. But he's 0 for 1 so far today. Carolina's 3-0 lead has vanished. After everything we have seen over the past 2¼ hours, Matt, it all comes down to this. And Chicago has scored 4 straight points to take the lead back from Carolina. 4-0 sweep for Damian Provost over Enzo Angles. Did not see that coming.
I think this makes the second half of the order now all the more interesting. There's a huge result from Damian Provost to take 4 in a row against Enzo here in the Golden Games.
Maybe it's happened once, but I struggle to remember a time where Enzo lost 4 straight points in a Golden Game. He's just been that reliable, that steady. The #1 player in the league, without a doubt. 6 in a row for Chicago and a timeout taken by Alex Yang.
And we know it's not in Chinese this time because Roman Lorenz, his Chinese is too good for Alex Yang.
Very quick word from Yang to Lorenz, not wanting to take the full 60 seconds that he could take with the timeout. Right back to the table we go. Great stuff from Lorenz. Carolina snapped Chicago's 6-0 run.
It's interesting to see the proximity of the teams to the bench. Carolina Gold Rush a row back behind their chairs. Wind right up on the court.
There's a little bit more space to bounce around behind the bench as opposed to in front of it, perhaps. You know, right side of your screen, Carolina bench totally empty. Those are good seats. Tremendous effort from Lorenz. He takes 3 straight after the timeout.
You know, for that shorter timeout with very little said, pretty impressive fight back there from Roman Lorenz. And now we will see the first change up here in the Golden Game order.
Pont and Tan, and Emily Tan takes the first point.
Emily Tan taking deep for a spinning Chiquita, 6 serving 7.
You can see how that slower spin style is playing into Emily Tan's style, where she's up at the table blocking, looking for flat drives. DuPont's got to keep the ball low.
Strong return from Bastion. And the Frenchman puts Carolina back up 1.
Second serve for Emily Tan.
Better serve that time from Tan. It was shorter, more effective. And she splits the 4 points against DuPont. And now a couple of pen holders. Hong Lin versus Dan Liu. There have not been too many instances of a pair of pen holders going head to head on the table MLTT so far this year.
I genuinely think this might be the first one. It's neck and neck here in the Golden Game, 9 points each.
9 points apiece serves with Dan Liu.
I think so much is going to hinge upon the next round matchup between Damien and Enzo. Right here, it's Dan Liu that makes a big impression against a player that's really been one of the most effective players in the league in the Golden Game. Eric Owens making, I think, a good decision there to change up the order.
Hazin and Wong back at the top of the order. If we do get to the ultimate golden point at 20 all, it would be these two that would decide it. There have only been 5 ultimate golden points in 52 golden games so far in the young history of Major League Table Tennis. Chicago was involved in the very first, and it did not end well for the Wind, as Ojo's mojo was too much. Did not catch, and Wong departs with a 2-point lead.
This matchup, I feel, could make all the difference in how the end result plays out.
Provost certainly not intimidated going against the #1 player. Golden sweep, 4 straight points earlier in this Golden Game. Excellent serve from Anglaise, and he's back on track. And Carolina had the 3-point lead. Chicago erased it with 6 consecutive points. And we're tied again, 13 apiece.
This is where Enzo starts to show his leadership.
13 points apiece tied up in the serve with Damien Provost.
Chicago still has a timeout it could use here in the Golden. To let. How about this turnaround? Provost took 4 straight from Anglaise earlier, and now Anglaise responding, looking for a golden sweep of his own. And before this last point, these 2 players will play. Timeout, Chicago. Let's listen in as Eric Owens chats with Damien Provost.
You're good.
Both play for Carolina Gold
This point. Forget everything else.
In the lead. After this Golden Game, I know a lot of people are going to get pictures.
It evens out, right? You got it 4-0 the first time, so it's okay.
To check out the rankings within the league. 2 of the top 3.
Here's the thing with Coach Owens' logic.
And it's because they play so well in
You're down 3-0 at the start. If you play even, you're not going to win. You need to do better than splitting their points. Damien knows that. He's got a chance to go 5-3 against Anglaise in the Golden Game and tie this thing up 14 all if he can win this point. But Anglaise shows why he's #1 with a huge lefty forehand winner.
That was pretty spotless for a serve receive. Big celebration from Enzo Anglaise. So the Carolina Gold Rush get themselves back into the lead. And we're back with Romain Laurence.
4 more points for these 2.
Kazaku gets up over the table with that forehand. You know, going back to the timeouts that we've seen from these coaches, I think one of the things that helps mark a good coach is knowing when to speak and knowing when to say less.
Kazaku brings Chicago back level. 0-0, game to 6 right now to decide the first match here in 2024. 16 points in the standings up for grabs in these next 6 points.
Oh, such a good heavy push from Laurence out on the wide angle. And Kazaku managed to put a lot of spin on that for such a short backswing.
3 in a row for the Romanian. Oh, and it's a golden sweep. Kazaku, clutch.
Pressure is on here for Bastien Dupont.
15 serving 17.
Serving to Tan. Good start for Bastien.
Good decision by him, predicting a push receive. Add a little topspin variation. This time Tan goes for the flip, but a little awkward timing off the net.
This has been one of the most riveting Golden games we've seen. Back and forth, the momentum changing hands. And that's 3 in a row for Dupont, answering Kazaku's rally. Hong Lin and Dan Liu will take the table after this next point. Will it be tied or will Carolina go up by 2? Tan salvages the last point she'll play today. 18 all. 4 points here for Lin and Liu. Hazin and Wong waiting in the wings.
That big forehand from Dan Liu could be what makes the difference here.
Chicago has never beaten Carolina in a team match. That could change. Moments from now, Dan Liu delivers 2 massive forehands to set up match point.
To win the team contest.
It's all over. For the first time, Chicago takes down Carolina. And the win begin 2024 on the right note.
The wind has taken down all of the building.
What an outstanding performance from the Chicago Wind. Probably one of the most back and forth, exciting Golden games we've seen.
This is only day 1.
You think about that last point that Emily Tan won to avoid getting swept, change the momentum, and Chicago scores the final 4 points of the Golden game. 21-18, Chicago wins the Golden. 12-9, Chicago comes from behind to win the match.
Give your heart a chance to come back to its resting heart rate. Pay yourselves a Major League Table Tennis shirt. Support your Florida Crocs. Support the league. Get your autographs and pictures. And be back here in 30 minutes. A little bit earlier if you want to make sure you've got a great seat, or you might have a chance to play some table tennis. I look forward to seeing you. Don't forget, MLTT.com for everything that you need. See you at 7 o'clock sharp.
Alex. After Eric, we're gonna come. After Eric. So come on, how do you want? Come on.
The Chicago Wind victorious over the Carolina Gold Rush by a final score of 12-9. We're joined by Coach Eric Owens. Coach, you had it all the way. I mean, what a battle, what drama. How was your heart beating during that Golden game?
Yeah, a couple of mini heart attacks for sure. You know, we went into the Golden game behind. We were able to dominate in the beginning, and then we lost it a little bit. So a lot of emotions even within that short Golden game. But in the end, I'm so proud of these guys taking down the top team. I know we are a great team. Sometimes we haven't been able to put it together, but we absolutely put it together today against Carolina, and this is a great start to the weekend.
And speaking of the Golden game, obviously in the beginning, a lot of the order matchups were quite similar, but you made a pretty decisive decision to put Emily in the 4th spot, which put her up against Bastien Dupont. What was the thinking behind that? Were you expecting that you might be able to get a better matchup for her, and especially going into the 5th matchup where Dan played against Hong?
Yeah, we were definitely trying to be a bit tricky with that. I wanted to guard against Emily playing Hong. I feel like that's a matchup that really, really favors them. But it can be a bit tricky because you get about half of the matchups. And so I started with Timmy because with 3-0 and you're only playing 1 point, typically the teams start with the girls. And I knew if I started with Emily, they would put Hong. So I did something a little bit different, started with Timothy, and I think it potentially threw them off a little bit. And then as the order went down, it gave me the opportunity to put Emily against somebody else, which I think favored us in the end. And then really what we wanted was Dan and Hong in the end. So we actually got exactly what we wanted, and Dan was able to close it.
Very well played on that one.
And we were talking about the last point that Emily Tan played and won. She had lost the 3 previous, but that one tied it up, and then Dan Liu took you to the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, Emily's a fighter. What I love about Emily, even though she lost those 3 points, and that next point is absolutely critical, she was able to recalibrate, reconcentrate, get it together, and capture that last point. That 1 point was really, really huge for us.
What about Kazaku's golden sweep in the business end of the Golden game?
Yeah, I mean, Kazaku always comes through. He is the man. His Superman pose is perfect for him. He's great.
What does this win say about your team heading into the second half of the season?
I think this really shows that we have a great team. I honestly feel like we have been underperforming. I think these guys are solid players. Things just, the momentum, they really haven't gone our way. You know, if you're looking at the details and the nuances, you'll just start to see that we've just been a bit unfortunate. We haven't been able to put it together. But I know we're a great team. We put it together today. I think this sets our momentum up to really, really try to get some wins against Florida and Princeton and hopefully go 3-0 for this weekend and get back into second place.
Very well said, Eric. Appreciate the perspective. We'll let you go. Enjoy the win tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Eric Owens helps to guide the Chicago Wind to the 12-9 win. It's their 4th Golden Game victory in their last 5 Golden Games after they had won 2 of their first 9.
Yeah, and they always had it in the singles throughout the season. It was the Golden game letting them down, and turned that around now.
Let's chat with Superman. Alexandru Kazaku. Congratulations, my friend. What's going through your mind? I think you took the table that second 4-point sequence. You were down by 2 and you took it. You obviously swept the 4. What was the key against Roman?
I tried the key was the receive because he served first, and I knew that at least I was thinking at least to get 1 point from his 2 services the second round, and then if I can to take 2 on mine, because also he received very well during the single match, and I didn't find some weapons also first 4 points. He was playing short on my service. okay. I was a little bit more relaxed at the second part of the Golden Game.
And when you talk about finding weapons, I mean, comparing you to a lot of other players in the league, you swing at some crazy shots, you have a lot of power. Does the way that you play differ at all when you're playing in the singles matches to when you come into the Golden Game? Is there any part of you that thinks maybe sometimes you have to be careful, or when you get into the Golden Game, is there no room for being careful? Like you have to go for those big shots?
I tried to be careful and it didn't work. So I go for all in.
Alex, congratulations. Best of luck the rest of the weekend. Look forward to seeing you out there tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
The Chicago Wind win the Golden Game, coming from behind to do it, 21-18. And the updated standings for the moment, Chicago usurps the Revolution spot in third place in the standings. You know, it feels like Carolina kind of has an insurmountable lead, but the race for the 2 spot, particularly if Princeton can outplay Florida tonight, gets mighty interesting as we head toward the rest of the weekend. We are about 23 minutes away from the first serve between the Florida Crocs and the Princeton Revolution to cap our Friday evening showcase here in the Sunshine State. But for now, we will wrap it up. The Chicago Wind, last place in the East. It's a new year, Matt, and with new year comes new opportunity. And Chicago seizing that opportunity to start their second half of the season. Final score, Chicago 12, Carolina 9. We thank you for being with us, whether this was your first time ever watching MLTT or whether you are a regular viewer. Stick around, we got the Crocs and the Revolution about 20 minutes from now. For Matt Hetherington and our entire crew, Evan Lepler saying so long for now. Chicago gets their first ever win over the Carolina Gold Rush.